Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
The juice is loose.
Lydia believes in the existence of ghosts, and while she is hosting a supernatural TV talk show called Ghost House, she suddenly sees a ghost named Beetlejuice, who has wanted to marry her for the past 37 years, appearing unexpectedly among her audience. Lydia becomes extremely frightened and leaves the talk show to hide in the restroom, unable to continue the presentation. In the restroom, she encounters the ghost of a woman who appears to have been stabbed in the forehead and died. Rory, her manager and boyfriend, follows her into the restroom out of concern. He reassures her not to be afraid as he is by her side, and kisses her. While this is happening, Lydia receives messages on her phone from her stepmother, Delia, telling her to come immediately for something important. When Lydia arrives at her stepmother's place, she learns that her father has died. He passed away after their plane crashed into the ocean during an exploration trip, and he was attacked by a shark. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, an old man gets electrocuted while cleaning, causing several coffins to fall from a nearby shelf. The coffins open by themselves, and the dismembered body parts inside begin to move, starting with the face being stitched together with the help of a sewing machine. The head reattaches its ears and the severed head reconnects with the upper body. Soon after, the arms and legs are also reconnected, restoring the body to its original form. This woman is named Dolores, a powerful witch who consumes the souls. She absorbs the spirit of the old man and embarks on a journey to find Beetlejuice. Astrid, Lydia's daughter, does not believe in ghosts and has distanced herself from her mother since her father's death. Unlike her mother, Astrid denies the existence of ghosts and has become estranged from Lydia, avoiding her phone calls. Lydia picks Astrid up from school, and the family heads to Winter River for Charles's funeral. In the afterlife, Beetlejuice is in charge of managing the office of bioexorcists along with his assistant, Bob, but he still cannot forget Lydia, even after 30 years. He is always wondering how to get to the world where living humans reside in order to meet Lydia. Wolf Jackson, an actor-turned-ghost detective, summons Beetlejuice to warn him that his ex-wife, Dolores, has escaped imprisonment and is hunting him for revenge. The main reason for Astrid's strained relationship with her mother is that Lydia can see other ghosts around her but cannot see Astrid's father. Meanwhile, Dolores sucks the soul of an old man cleaning clothes and changes white bridal dress to black, wearing it on her body. Before arriving in the afterlife, Beetlejuice was a grave robber. During a plague that caused many deaths, he collected valuable items from the bodies of the dead and eventually met Dolores. Beetlejuice accidentally looked into Dolores' cursed eyes and became enchanted, leading to their marriage. However, on their wedding night, he discovered that Dolores didn't marry him out of love but needed his life and soul to become immortal. Realizing the truth, Beetlejuice was too late and was poisoned through the wine he drank, making him close to death. However, before he died, he managed to drag the demoness along with him, cut her body with his knife, and imprison her in the afterlife. At the ghost house, right in front of the guests attending Charles's funeral, Rory proposed to Lydia, asking her to marry him on Halloween night. Even though Lydia didn't want to agree, she ended up accepting the proposal. Upset with her mother, Astrid rides her bike into town, narrowly avoiding an accident before crashing into a fence. In the yard, she meets a boy named Jeremy, a pale and handsome figure, and the two become friends. Meanwhile, Beetlejuice learns from an obituary that Lydia's father has recently passed away, giving him the idea to approach her.
Now's my chance.
On the other side, Astrid ends up in a secret room of the ghost house, where the model of Winter River is kept. There, she unexpectedly receives a flyer from Beetlejuice, instructing Lydia to call his name 3 times if she ever needs help. In the room, there are also some mementos of Astrid's father, Richard, and her mother, Lydia. Astrid asks her mother who Beetlejuice is, but Lydia refuses to answer and warns her never to mention the name again, pulling her out of the room. Astrid gets upset with her mother again and rides her bike to her friend Jeremy's house where she sees Jeremy's mother busy in the kitchen and his father watching TV in his room. Jeremy invites her to spend Halloween night with him, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Lydia confides in her boyfriend Rory about the ghost Beetlejuice, who has been haunting her. She reveals that a demon terrorized her family when she was a teenager and threatened to force her into marriage. It's been over 30 years since the demon disappeared, but he has recently returned and started tormenting her again. Astrid warns Rory not to call Beetlejuice's name 3 times, as mentioned in the flyer, but Rory, curious, ignores her and calls Beetlejuice 3 times. Both Astrid and Rory are instantly transported into the model of Winter River, where the ground cracks open, and they end up with Beetlejuice. He prevents Lydia from speaking and exposes the guts inside his stomach. Then, he makes Lydia give birth to a baby like him from her belly. However, the baby doesn't resemble him, so he says it's not like him and kicks the baby like a ball. Rory, terrified of Beetlejuice, faints, while the baby bites Lydia's leg. Beetlejuice proposes to Lydia again, but she refuses and returns home by saying home 3 times. Back at Ghost House, Lydia wants to burn the model and return home, but Astrid refuses, mentioning her plans with her male friend for Halloween night. As a result, Lydia agrees to continue living in this ghost house, according to her daughter's wishes. On Halloween night, Astrid is hanging out with Jeremy, unaware that she is floating in the air until she falls and realizes Jeremy is not human but a ghost. Astrid, who inherited her mother's psychic abilities, can see spirits and ghosts. Jeremy admits that he used to hide in the treehouse when his parents fought and died after falling from it. He asks Astrid to accompany him to the afterlife and help him return to life, but she hesitates. Jeremy tells Astrid that she might reunite with her deceased father, and she finally agrees. Then, he opens a door connected to the afterlife, and Astrid, still alive, has to recite some mantras to enter. Meanwhile, Lydia learns from a realtor that 23 years ago, Jeremy killed his parents and died while fleeing from the police. Lydia rushes to the murder house to save her daughter from the ghost but arrives too late, as both have entered the afterlife. At the same time, Delia, mourning Charles's death, performs a ceremony holding 2 snakes, symbolizing her unbroken love. However, the snakes turn out to be venomous, and she dies from their bite. Lydia returns to the ghost house and summons Beetlejuice to help rescue her daughter from the ghost.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
The truth is loose.
Beetlejuice agrees, but only if Lydia marries him. Left with no choice, Lydia agrees and signs the marriage agreement. Beetlejuice draws a circle on the wall with chalk, creating a portal to the afterlife. Both enter the portal. Wolf Jackson learns that Beetlejuice illegally brings a living human into the afterlife, so he calls the Ghoul Squad and assigns them the task of capturing the 2 individuals who are breaking the afterlife's rules. Jeremy tricks Astrid into a soul exchange, but when she realizes the truth, it's too late. 2 securities take her by force to the soul train leading to the great beyond. Fortunately, Astrid's father, Richard, working as an afterlife employee, finds out that his daughter has been taken. Lydia saves her daughter Astrid from the soul train, and escaping from the securities and soldiers chasing them, they flee to Saturn's moon. In the desert, the 2 of them are being attacked by a sandworm, but Richard saves them just in time. He encourages his family to embrace life and happiness despite his death and prepares to send them home. Delia, now in the afterlife, strikes a deal with Beetlejuice to help her find her husband, Charles. Dolores, who arrives at Beetlejuice's office, devours his assistant Bob's spirit after failing to find Beetlejuice.
Later, fucker.
Beetlejuice sends Jeremy to hell, while Astrid and Lydia return to Winter River with Richard's help. Back at the ghost house, Astrid feels remorse for always going against her mother and apologizes to Lydia for her past mistakes. Beetlejuice brings Delia to the wedding, demanding Lydia marry him according to their agreement. Using truth serum, Beetlejuice forces Rory to admit that he did not marry Lydia out of love but for money. Realizing the truth, Lydia kicks Rory out of the wedding and agrees to marry Beetlejuice. During the wedding, Beetlejuice freezes Wolf Jackson and his ghoul soldiers, who come to disrupt the ceremony. However, Dolores, who wants revenge on Beetlejuice, arrives at the ceremony shortly afterward. Astrid uses a spellbook to summon the sandworm from the desert, which devours Dolores and Rory, dragging them into the desert. Then, Astrid tells Beetlejuice that it's impossible for them to get married because her mother is human, and he is a ghost. They belong to different worlds. Also, Lydia banishes Beetlejuice back to the afterlife by calling his name 3 times. Wolf Jackson takes Delia, now deceased, back to the afterlife, where she reunites with her husband Charles, who is about to depart for the great beyond on the soul train. Lydia finishes the final episode of the Ghost House TV show and decides to retire from her entertainment career, choosing to live a peaceful life with her daughter Astrid. Shortly after, Astrid marries a handsome young man, but Lydia continues to have recurring nightmares about Beetlejuice. In her dreams, she sees her daughter giving birth to a child that looks just like Beetlejuice.